What did they find?
So we're talking about CBD vapes in particular that were actually spiked with much more powerful drugs inside of them. In fact, some didn't have CBD at all, even though that was what was clearly advertised on the package. Now, health officials have been warning people to stop vaping while this outbreak is going on, or at the very least, make sure you're not buying it on the street. But what happens when you walk into a store where it's perfectly legal to sell and you can't even rely on what's being advertised? The AP says it happened to a college student who ended up in a coma over 2 hits of what he thought was CBD, a popular hemp product that people use for anxiety and relaxation. Now, the AP tested his vape sample, 29 others, 13 brands in all that they suspected may be spiked. Now, 10 of those contained so-called synthetic marijuana, which is also known as spice or K2. That can be life-threatening. Now, 8 of the 30 vape samples advertised as CBD didn't have any CBD at all, and another 14 had no more than trace levels. Now, the results were pretty similar to what law enforcement agencies across the country have found. Out of about 350 samples tested, more than a third, 128 of them, tested positive for synthetic marijuana. Now, most of those came from vapes, but 36 of them were edibles like gummy bears. Now, the scariest part is that 3 samples had fentanyl in it, the man-made opioid that's 50 times more potent than heroin in it. Again, for both surveys, the products that were tested were questionable to begin with, so it's not indicative of the entire market, but clearly very concerning.
So how can these manufacturers get away with selling spiked products?
Well, because regulators are just so behind when it comes to this industry. It's a good reminder that a lot of CBD products out there are rarely tested by the feds or the state. At this point, quality control really is up to the manufacturer. Now, right now, the FDA is mostly just warning companies about making unproven medical claims, but they're not doing anything to do with pulling spiked products off the shelves. That's up to the Drug Enforcement Administration, who says they're pretty busy right now. Their priorities on opioids and other narcotics. Now, Poison Control does consider CBD to be an emerging hazard precisely because of the type of mislabeling and contamination that this investigation did find.